Greetings. Hi there. I'm Dr. Walter Jacobson. I'm a board certified psychiatrist, and this is my blog talk radio show, Forgive to Win. And if you're actually listening at 4:30 on Sunday to the blog talk radio, it's a live show. It's a call-in show. So feel free to jump in any time and call in and to ask some questions, to clarify the material, or to share a story, or to start a conversation. That's my talent. That's my forte, is talking to people. You bring me data, I can give you solutions and answers and options to think about and to implement in your life. But that being said, if you're not listening to this live, hey, you like the show? Share it with your friends, please. It's free. Spread it around. It's good stuff. And thirdly, if you go to my website, walterjacobsonmd.com, and you subscribe to my newsletter, you can download an ebook free. My ebook, Forgive to Win, and self-sabotaging behaviors, and get everything you want. Sounds like a bold, assertion to get everything you want, but basically the whole idea is that we sabotage ourselves because of deeply embedded guilt, shame, and self-loathing. When we learn to love ourselves and forgive ourselves, we end self-sabotaging behaviors, our self-esteem increases, and the world starts working for us rather than against us. We stop sabotaging ourselves and getting in our own way, and we have a better happiness, better health, better relationships, and more successful careers and lives. And the book is free download, and all you got to do is subscribe to the newsletter. And the newsletter simply is you'll get notifications of different written blogs or video blogs or other blogging of some sort that I will do to share the information that I have. Okay, that being said, today's episode is about decreasing anxiety and how to eliminate panic attacks. Okay, so basically this is all about the truth. It's about telling the truth to yourself, telling the truth to other people, being willing to face the truth and deal with the truth, rather than avoid it, deny it, etc. Because when we distort the truth or avoid it or deny it, our unconscious mind says, whoa, wait a second, and we get anxious. Anxiety really indicates that there's a conflict. There's some kind of confusion. There's some kind of dissonance. There's some kind of disturbance, emotional disturbance. Something isn't right. It's a signal that something isn't right. And if you're not paying attention to your environment, to your internal and your external environment, then the anxiety bubbles up. And it can be sort of generalized anxiety and worry, or it can be panic attacks where you get hit with a flood of anxiety and you have physiological symptoms as well, where you think you're having a heart attack or you're going to go crazy, heart's beating fast, chest pressure, shortness of breath. You can be dizzy, lightheaded, nauseous. You can get numbness and tingling in your fingers. It's a whole big deal. It's pretty terrifying, and it's incredibly unpleasant. And the way I kind of look at panic attacks versus general anxiety is that if you're not paying attention to your conflicts, your turmoil, the truth in your life or the lack of truth in your life, and the anxiety's kind of there saying, hello, pay attention, you got to make some better choices, you got to be more aware, and you're not, then it's like your subconscious mind says, you know what, I think I'm going to hit you over the head with a club. I think I need to get your attention. And so what it does is, you get a panic attack, and believe me, you get a panic attack, you get, it gets your attention. But mostly people just, it gets their attention, and then they just want to find a way to get rid of it. And usually the quickest way is by taking some kind of tranquilizer, or Prozac or Paxil or Zoloft or something like that, although that won't work immediately, but it can work to reduce anxiety and panic attacks. But they oftentimes don't try to go to the root, the source of the problem, which is the conflict, or the distortion of the truth. Okay, so, all right, so there are different ways of decreasing anxiety. It depends upon what's causing the anxiety. So let's say a big deal is catastrophic thinking. Okay, this is where you distort reality, and so that's where the truth factor comes in. You have to do a reality check. You got to tell yourself, what's the truth here? What's the evidence? What's the data? What's the reality, of my fear? Because anxiety, catastrophic thinking, it's all about fear. We just exaggerate our situation and turn it into a terribly terrifying situation. And then, of course, the reaction is going to be, oh my God, I can't handle that. And so you have extreme anxiety and panic. So catastrophic thinking, for example, might be, you get fired from your job. And so that's bad enough, particularly in this economy. So, you got a mortgage payment, whatever, you got a car payment, you got to eat, whatever, and suddenly you're out of work. And so that's bad enough. That's anxiety provoking, and that's reasonable. It's reasonable for you to have anxiety after you've gotten fired. But what's not reasonable is to think the worst, to go to the extreme, to catastrophize and think to yourself, you know what? Because of the economy the way it is, I'm probably never going to get a job. That's probably the last job I ever had. I'm never going to get a job. I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to be on the street. I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to, and then someone's going to stab me and I'm going to be dead. And it's going to be awful. And so you better believe you're going to be full of depression and huge fear and anxiety and panic. And so, or, your girlfriend breaks up with you or your boyfriend breaks up with you, right? And rather than going, yeah, that's a bummer, that's a drag, I don't like being alone, that's scary, may bring up some abandonment issues, but which is scary and anxiety provoking itself. But the catastrophic thinking that oftentimes people do is they'll go, they'll take it to the extreme. I'm never going to find anybody. I'm never going to have a sustainable relationship. Nothing's ever going to work out. Women or men are always going to leave me. I'm going to end up alone and I'm going to die alone. It's going to be a horribly lonely, terrible life. And so, of course, that's going to generate anxiety and panic and huge depression. Okay, so what do you got to do? In the case of, in these cases of catastrophic thinking, you've got to say, wait a second, time out. Let's take a breath, and now let's look at the evidence or data that because I just got fired, I'm never going to have a job and I'm going to be homeless and be dead and it's going to be terrible. What's the evidence or data that because I just broke up in this relationship, I'm never going to have a relationship? There is none. There is no evidence or data. Yeah, it may be difficult in these times to get a job. It may prove to be quite a challenge, but there's no evidence or data that you never will. You've had jobs in the past, and even though the economy is difficult and it may take longer, the odds are that you'll get a job again. But more than that, you got to tell yourself whether I do or don't, or no matter how quickly or easily I'm going to get a job or not, there's no point in panicking and going to the worst case scenario right now. Let me just try to deal with this. Or if what's the evidence or data that because she just broke up with me, I'm never going to have a relationship? Okay, you may have had several failed relationships. And if you continue to do the same thing, okay, yeah, start panicking because, yeah, then you could be alone. If you keep finding the wrong person, if you keep getting involved with people who are abusive and toxic, if you keep on getting into codependent relationships, if there are red flags all around you when you first start dating somebody and you ignore them, then, yeah, you're going to be in trouble. But if you tell yourself, no, wait a second. Okay, this didn't work out, but I know why it didn't work out, And so in the future, when the red flags show up, rather than because I'm all infatuated and, I got all that, the sexual chemistry is there and everything, but I'm going to go time out. Wait a second. I'm not going to go down this road. I recognize that this is a pattern in a guy or a woman I'm picking, and I'm not going to go down that road. And so I'm just going to go down the road where the relationships or these people appear to be healthy. So if I keep doing the same thing, I'm going to get the same result. But if I tell myself, no, in the future, I'm going to make wiser choices. I'm not going to allow myself to be abused in relationships. I'm not going to get into codependent relationships. Then there's no evidence, there's no data that you're going to end up alone and lonely and die alone and be miserable. Okay, so this is how you self-soothe. This is how you calm yourself down. You go, no, what's the evidence or data that this end-stage catastrophic thought is actually reality? It's not reality. It's a massive distortion of reality. And if you get that, then you should be able to bring down the panic, bring down the anxiety engine, bring down the depression. It works. You do this, it works. By the way, I was going to say, I forgot to tell you, if you download my free ebook, Forgive to Win, you do even one thing in that book, I guarantee your life will get better. One thing. And there's only 40, 50, 60 really good ideas and stuff, but you just do one of them on a regular basis. You will see your life get better. Okay, so where was I? All right, so catastrophic thinking is one way of, you got to deal with the truth. If you deal with the truth, your anxiety levels, your panic attacks will go away, your anxiety levels will decrease if you recognize catastrophic thinking and don't go down that road, okay? Okay, number 2. Right. Okay, right. Anxiety is a signal. It's a signal device. It's a signal emotion. Okay. Basically, it's telling you that you need to pay attention. Something's wrong. A simple signal device would be, you're walking down a dark alley. You leave a club or a restaurant, but you're by yourself. Your car's down the street, and you're going to pass a dark alley, and it's dark out, and suddenly you get sort of anxious and panicky, and that makes sense. There's a fear thought that I could get hurt. Right. So, and it's good. It's a good signal device because if you pay attention, you tell yourself, okay, I could get hurt. Maybe I shouldn't be walking alone to my car, or maybe I should have walk to the other side of the street where there are lights and not walk past a dark alley, or maybe I should have some pepper spray in my hand, so I don't get hurt. So it's a signal to tell you to do something, to pay attention. It's kind of like a fight or flight kind of thing too. Pay attention. It's the anxiety is a signal. Now, by the way, if you get in your car and you drive away and then you're still anxious and panicky long after you're in your car and you've passed the alley, now it's no longer it's no longer a signal device anymore. Now it's actually neurotic anxiety that you're carrying long past the threat, and you got to learn how to calm down and get past that moment where you felt you were going to be victimized and let it go. And a lot of times people keep reliving it and thinking about it and talking about it and reinventing it and re-victimizing themselves. And you need to just stop doing that because the threat isn't there. The signal served its purpose. But a lot of times we don't pay attention to this signal. And I'm not just talking about putting ourselves in dangerous situations. A lot of times we're at work. Let's say we're at work and we're in a job that the boss is a petty tyrant, completely unreasonable. Giving us too much work to do. They've let other people go. Now they've piled on like twice the work that one person can do. They expect you to do it, and they expect you to stay as long as it's going to take to stay. They're kind of abusive in general, and you stay. You stay there. You're afraid. The anxiety jumps up. The panic jumps up. And what's the point? It's telling you get out of there. It's telling you, it's a toxic environment. It's a hostile work environment. It's abusive. It's toxic. It's overwhelming. It's stressful, and you don't listen. You stay there. A lot of times people stay there because they have this incredible work ethic. In their mind, they feel like their identity is tied into their work, and they feel that no matter how much somebody shovels them with work, it's their job to do it. Because that's their integrity. That's their work ethic. But no. That's abuse. And you need to be able to recognize the truth that it's abuse and that it's unreasonable to be expected to do that. And if you don't speak up for yourself, then you'll develop a lot of anxiety and panic. Now these days, a lot of people, the rationale is, well, I need to stay in my job because I can't get another job right now because of the economy, or I have good health benefits and I need the health benefits. So yes, oftentimes the anxiety, that's a dilemma. But sometimes people don't, they accept the dilemma, and so they have a lot of anxiety and panic, but they actually don't push the envelope. They actually don't hustle to see, is there really a job out there? Or maybe I should speak up and say something, and, or even if you can't, even if you feel you are stuck, maybe you need to just slow down. And if you don't slow down, you're gonna break down. If you don't slow down, you're gonna have an accident. Then you're gonna have a workers' comp injury. And really, that's not the best way to leave a job. Better to leave on your terms rather than through some subconscious, accident. Or to reduce your anxiety and panic, if you are in a stressful, toxic situation that you feel you cannot leave because for one reason or another, then you better figure out a way to de-stress yourself, to make better choices in terms of the time you do have, relaxing, exercising, going for walks, petting the dog, whatever, listening to music, meditating, yoga, whatever it might be. You need to find a way to have balance if your work is out of balance. A signal with relationships. A lot of times with relationships, many people are in codependent relationships. What does that mean? They're abusive. They're toxic. They stay in them. They have this fear. It's not exactly the same thing as work, because with work, maybe it is going to be tough to get another job, and maybe you really can't afford to be off work for a few months or a year. But with relationships, you're in a toxic relationship, an abusive relationship. You stay in the relationship. Of course, there's a fear of abandonment. There's a fear that I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm lucky to have this loser, paying attention to me at all. These are all like false fear thoughts, And so, if I leave, I'll be alone. I'm more catastrophic thinking. And so you stay in really bad relationships. You're not honest with yourself. You know the guy is never going to change. Well, the woman's never going to change. It's always going to be that way. You're always going to be miserable. So, but you kid yourself. Well, maybe it'll be different. Maybe eventually they'll be nicer, or maybe eventually I'll be able to handle it better or accept them for who they are, and all that's just a bunch of crap. You're conning yourself, and usually it is out of fear of abandonment and low self-esteem. And what you got to do is try to tell the truth to yourself. That no, maybe if I leave the relationship, yes, it will be lonely, it will be scary. Maybe I will have anxiety and panic because my abandonment issues will come up, but I'll breathe through it. I have some friends, I have some family. I'll get through it. And then once I get through that difficult phase of being alone and discovering that being alone isn't so bad, it's not all that terrible, then eventually my self-esteem will come back, and maybe I'll be able to find somebody who will treat me right, who will cherish me, and I'll have a really good relationship. So we're afraid to admit the truth to ourselves that a relationship really sucks, and it's not going to get better, and we really need to get out of there and not stay in a really bad, toxic, abusive relationship. So we got to tell the truth to ourselves, and and we got to tell the truth about our health. A lot of times, people have health issues and they're afraid to look at the truth. They're afraid to go to a doctor and find out that they might have cancer. So they don't go. And then when they finally go because, something breaks down seriously, then it's too late. Or they have to go through some extraordinary procedures in order to possibly recover. So the anxiety and the panic that you have is a signal device. It's saying something is wrong with your health, with your body, with your mind perhaps, and you better go see a doctor. And so you got to tell the truth to yourself. Admit that, okay, yeah, it's scary. It's going to be scary to actually find out if there's something really wrong with me. But if I don't find out, it could be even scarier than that. And then you really have a panic attack that won't go away. So all these are areas in which anxiety, the panic attacks are signals to us that we're not paying attention to something. We're not being honest with ourselves about something. And it's trying to get our attention that, there's serious conflict here. You're really not happy. The anxiety is telling you that, you're making bad decisions and you need to make wiser ones. Now, a lot of times people say, well, I really don't know. The panic attack seems to come out of nowhere and nothing triggers it. Well, sometimes something can be triggered by a casual conversation you overhear, or you can be watching TV and there's a couple on TV talking about their retirement, and that could trigger panic and anxiety about your relationship because there's this lovey-dovey couple that's really comfortable with each other, and your relationship, is terrible, and it could be like an hour ago that you happen to just kind of see the commercial and it kind of registered subliminally, and then later you go into a depression or an anxiety or a panic attack. So you want to try to think about the stuff that happens around the time that you get a panic attack. But it doesn't matter. Even if you can't think of what triggered it, know that something triggered it. An unconscious thought triggered it. Try to bring it to consciousness. How do you do that? You just ask yourself, well, what's going on in my life? Am I happy with my life? Am I happy with my work? Am I happy with my health? Am I happy with my relationship? And if the answer is no, then right, that's where your anxiety and panic is coming from. Try to look honestly at what's going on. So the third area of truth-telling and anxiety and panic attack reduction is if you're not telling the truth. If you're not telling the truth to others, okay? Now, if you're a sociopath, then this doesn't apply to you. Sociopaths, people are objects. They have no empathy. They don't really care whether they're lying to other people or not. But if you're not a sociopath and you're kind of a regular person, then lying to other people and not telling the truth to other people and omitting the truth to other people who you say you care about, and who you say matter to you, on some level, that's going to cause dissonance. That's going to cause anxiety and panic and guilt and shame and self-loathing. And a lot of times we're afraid to tell the truth because we're afraid of what the other person's reaction might be. But personally, I think you need to try to have the courage to tell the truth and deal with what that person's reaction might be and give them the right to be able to have the information so that they can make a choice that's best for them, regardless of whether it's best for you or not. So having integrity to tell the truth to other people, not lie to them, not misrepresent, not omit the truth, that's important. And if you're not doing it on some level, that may trigger anxiety and panic attacks. And if you decide to tell the truth, it may be painful, and there may be a level of anxiety, related to that, and it may be depressing, but it's liberating. And ultimately, the anxiety and the panic will go away because you're aligning with your truth and with your integrity and with your honor. Okay. Now, the other area of anxiety and panic is when you suspect somebody else is omitting the truth from you, or you think somebody else is lying to you. But you're afraid. You're the one who now you're afraid to ask. You're afraid to confront. You're afraid to find out the truth. So, for example, you think your husband or wife is cheating on you, but you're afraid to ask because you're afraid if you find out, then what do? Then you probably should leave, and you're afraid to leave. So you just don't want to know. You want your head in the sand, but you're really miserable, and you're jealous, and you're scared, and you're angry, and you're anxious, and you're panicky. Life is not always pleasant, and it's a drag when things don't go the way you want. But ultimately, I believe you are better off dealing with the truth. This is what being an adult is all about, finding out what's going on. You confront your boss, you confront your health, you confront your relationship, and you ask, what's going on? And the truth may be painful, it may be scary, it may be depressing, but then you get the chance to deal with it in a mature way, and hopefully in an effective way that will take you to a place, to a reality, to a future that's much better than the present situation you have now. Because look, if you are in a relationship with somebody and you think they're cheating on you, the relationship probably really isn't working. And if you find out they're cheating on you, and then you have two options. Either you create a boundary with them, you need to stop cheating and we need to repair this relationship, or I'm out of here. Or you just say, hey, you betrayed me, I'm out of here. You go away, it's scary, it's painful, it's hurtful, you get over it, and you have the chance to find a relationship that could be sustainable, that could be mutually respecting, that could be mutually cherishing, that could really give you joy and happiness and love and the whole 9 yards till your end of days. So it's all about the truth. Ultimately, anxiety and panic attacks, we have them because on some level we're not dealing effectively with the truth. Either we're not expressing it, we're not facing it, we're not asking about it, we're distorting it, we don't want to deal with it. And so that's the bottom line, is try to look in the mirror, try to be honest with yourself, try to look at the world around you, try to be honest with that world, try to ask your world to be honest with you and accountable to you. And there are no guarantees, of course, but you will have a sense of self-empowerment. And from that sense of self-empowerment and self-esteem, in general, your world will get better, your internal world and your external world. Okay, let's see. I think that's about it for now. Hey, you know what? You can always email me at walterdoc@mac.com, WALTERDOC@mac.com. If there's any topics you'd like me to discuss on the show, on future shows, I can talk about anything. I'm a board-certified psychiatrist. I have studied psychiatry, psychology, sociology, philosophy, metaphysics, mysticism. I'm an expert on relationships. I'm an expert on cognitive therapy tools, spiritual tools. My book, Forgive to Win, really is about cognitive tools and spiritual techniques to help you end self-sabotaging behaviors. Again, if you go to my website, walterjacobsonmd.com, and on the right there, you can click on to subscribe to my newsletter, which is just announcements of, when I publish a new blog, a video or print blog or something, or I have a radio interview of some sort, so it'll tip you off. That's all you got to do, though, is plug in, and you can download my book, Forgive to Win. It's free. It's really good. It's really simple. It deals with the 90-day forgiveness diet, and basically, it's a techniques to help you to esteem yourself, forgive yourself, love yourself, and then your world gets better. You end self-sabotaging behaviors, and your world gets better. What else can I tell you? Let's see. That book, by the way, it's so inexpensive. I'm giving you a free ebook, but it is available in paperback on Amazon, and it's also available on an audio version. And I also have Einstein's Cosmic Journey, a biographical fantasy of quantum proportions. It's sort of a melding of Einstein's life, some truth, many of his wonderful quotes, and it's also sort of a fantasy. Young Einstein and old Einstein come together when time and space are folded, and they talk to each other. And it's pretty cool. It's a pretty interesting book, very inexpensive. You can also check that out on Amazon as well. Anyway, I think that's it. Thanks for joining me. Spread the word. If you like the show, spread it around to others. Let other people know about it. Take care. Peace be with you. See you next time.